Hello, my name is James Woodward, and I'm going to be talking to you about the five Reiki principles, or the Gokai. I'm going to be talking about things that have been taught to me and things I've found out along the way. What effects can certain emotions have on the body in terms of chi and its manifestation physically. But first of all, I'll start off by talking about what they do. What are the five Reiki principles? What are their purposes? They are Japanese, and this Japanese word koto dharma, which is essentially what they are. It's a little bit like a mantra, where the word dharma has particular meaning, which is spirit. It comes. There's various different words for spirit in Japanese. This is talking really about the spirit of the sound. So the sound particularly is very important. If you ever repeat these in Japanese, have your hands together, you can really feel the energy in your hands and also right here in the heart. It really is pretty amazing. Afterwards, if you go away and learn the principles in Japanese, there are some good clips on YouTube. You'll find one with Frank Javapeta, which is where I'm getting a lot of my information from right now, and it's really worth watching. The way that he puts it is that Reiki is a path to enlightenment, which it is. That was Sui's reason behind everything that he did, was to seek enlightenment, and this is a way of a path to help you along the way. What he found was Sui, that he was healing, in inverted commas, people with Reiki, and then they'll come back to him because the same thing comes up, and then he realised that you have to also focus on the emotional aspect as well. So that's why he decided to create the five Reiki principles, and they are well-known philosophies and sayings of the time. It's not like Sui just suddenly plucked them out of nowhere. They were already there. He just compiled them together in a very, very clever way. And the wording is interesting as well. The first part, interestingly, I was practicing my Japanese with Japanese acupuncture student, because I'm studying acupuncture at the moment, and she was intrigued by the first part, which is Kyo Dakawa, and she said, it's got wa on the end, that means something must follow. So Kyo Dakawa means today only, or just for today. But interestingly, the way that I've been taught that they used to say the principles is the teacher will say Kyo Dakawa, and then the rest are repeated straight afterwards. So something has got to follow after that. But just for today is essentially you take each day as it comes, each moment. Bring yourself back to the present. Each moment is renewed with each breath that you have. I think I've spoken about this before in other non-Reiki videos. So each breath is renewed, each moment is renewed while you are in the present. So each day. So forget about yesterday, start today. So today only, Kyo Dakawa. And the first three principles are, well, the first four, but I'll just stick with the first three at the moment, are for us, the practitioners. It is really very, very much for us. And the first is anger not. Do not get angry. So it's ukaruna. Sorry about if my pronunciation is wrong. I know in some respects it's okaruna, but you get the general gist. So anger not. But you can take this a little bit further. It's do not live your life in anger. Now, if you live your life in anger, that will have a dramatic effect. And from my current teaching at the moment in Chinese medicine, there are many things that anger can do. And there's also many different manifestations of anger. So I've written a list down here that also, from an Oriental point of view, does actually count as anger, although from us Westerners, you may put it in a different category. But really, this has a similar effect to us. Okay, so the first is resentment. Irritability. Now, irritability is the most common, I have to say. Irritability and stress come under the same category as anger from an Oriental point of view. So when you think about this, anger not, do not live your life in anger, is also referring to these: frustration, rage, hatred, indignation, animosity, and bitterness. And also the aspect of repressing these feelings as well. Because if there's no movement of the energy, it's going to stay stagnant. It's going to sit somewhere within the body. That's another way you can end up with stagnant chi or stagnant blood. Stagnant blood is often it's painful. There's stabbing pain. So there's a difference in the way that the pain might feel in the body as well. You'll get a very, very good idea when a client comes to you about exactly what is going on, just by expressing how painful or what kind of pain they're actually experiencing. So what happens to the energy? It normally rises up and out. And interestingly, anger is of the wood element. And if you think of a tree, they come out like this. So the anger rises up and out. And the most obvious sign of that is red rage, sort of around the neck and around the face. This is normally referred to within Chinese medicine as liver fire blazing. So I'm not going to go too much into what those different things are, because it's a different thing. I don't want it to be too complicated. But it's important to know some things that might happen as a result of anger. I've written some of these down. So, as I've already said, chi rises. So you might also have this in the head and neck, as I've already said. So you might end up with headaches, certain types of headaches, on the top of the head and the temples. And it won't be a dull headache. That's due to something else. But it might be a throbbing pain, and often around the eyes as well, because the liver or wood element, it comes out in the eyes, so it has a direct relation. So anything around the eyes is often related to the wood element. Tinnitus, but it's a high tinnitus sound. The low tinnitus sound is actually related more to water and the kidneys, so it's that high-pitched tinnitus sound. Stiffness of the neck. Stiffness of the neck is also related to wind, which is the element of wood and wind as it moves like this. And so a draft and coldness together can create stiffness of the neck. So although you could attribute it to that, but it's often kind of, keeping it all in like this. So you'll find all of this stiffness around the neck, just from trying to hold it in. You'll find the limbs around here. It's often worth checking. So Viocian scan, or just put your hands in the areas and you'll find what's going on. And also yourself. Now, I've been talking about this for yourself, and then I've been going on about clients, but it's important to know what happens as a result. So if you're aware of this happening to yourself, you'll have some idea of what to do. One of the things I suggest to do is to look into chrysanthemum tea, also, it's gone dark, also goji berries as well. It's very, very good for problems around the head and the eyes, sort of dizziness, floaters, dry eyes. For dry eyes, I would suggest having liver, red meat, or if you're vegetarian, to have some iron supplements of some kind. That will really, really help. Now, something you might experience within yourself is sighing, or with me, it is the ability to need to move, carry on moving. I am actually very, very woody, considering my surname is incredible, Woodward. So so the ability to move. So I might end up sighing because the energy, the chi is stagnant. So the biosin will be very much stuck in one place. Often it could be around the chest or somewhere around the abdomen. You might even end up with constipation. So you might end up trying to allow that energy to move. I'll end up sighing. Or you might be burping a lot or get the hiccups. Or there might be what's known as rebellious chi, like instead of the food going down, you'll burp or end up, vomiting, or you have bitter taste in your mouth. There's various different things. I would advise you to look some of this up, because I can't go into the detail I'd like to. Otherwise, this video will be an hour or two long, and I'm still learning all this, and I don't want to say anything which is wrong. So, okay. So I've mentioned types of headaches, deafness, blurred vision as well, because I said anything related to the eyes. The dry mouth. Now, this dry mouth, this will be related very much to yang and heat, because you're constantly thirsty, because there's a lot of burning, because it can really, really overtake with that fire and rage. Now, I'm going to leave it there, because I want to be able to talk about other things as well. So the next is worry. Now, shinpai suna. Think of a pie. Shinpai suna. Worry not. Now, I've actually, as you probably just saw with that piece of paper, I've added pensiveness and worry together. Pensiveness is overthinking. You can almost attribute it to virtually the same thing. For me, the way I view it, it is something similar, very, very similar. So worry. Okay. Now worry knots chi. So instead of it rising up, it knots chi. So knotting chi is basically stagnation of chi again, which the way that I view it is it can create liver chi stagnation. So then we go back to what I was talking about before, which then can create anger, etc. It's quite interesting how these things interlink. So it also affects two different organs, lungs and spleen. Spleen in Chinese medicine can also be attributed to the pancreas, because of everything it does is the pancreas, and actually the description of it, of the spleen itself, also includes the pancreas as well. So that's quite interesting how they knew all these things even before modern Western science was aware of it. So again, look into that, it's interesting. So for the lungs, an uncomfortable feeling of the chest, slight breathlessness. So also you might find this person over time, or yourself, shoulders have moved slightly forward. So there's that oppression, that real kind of inability to breathe, and it's normally the out breath. If it's the in breath, it's another organ. I won't go into that, but it's interesting. And then there's the tension of the shoulders I've already mentioned. Again, the dry cough. It's trying to get something to move, but there's actually nothing there. So you'll be coughing, and you often be feeling like it's just here. Plumstone, or throat. Call it a frog in the throat. So there's nothing moving. Interestingly, I had a client last year who had this problem, and when I checked, there was absolutely nothing there. It was extraordinary. No feelings or sensations in my hands, and my hands are really sensitive to energy, and there was nothing there at all. And what else do I have here? Oh, weak voice and sighing again. And I mentioned the fact there's the need of movement of energy. So you're sighing, trying to get that to move. And moving on to the spleen that I was explaining before, poor appetite, slight epigastric discomfort. That's really just between the lowest, where the rib cage meets up, where the stomach is, right down to the belly button. So anything between that area is the epigastric area within the centre there, because then you've got the flanks. So it's just there. Okay. Abdominal distension. So it's the same thing, but below the belly button. Tiredness, pale complexion. Okay. So the next thing, pensiveness, which is very similar. Also the spleen as well. Poor appetite, slight epigastric discomfort, abdominal distension, tiredness, pale complexion. So it's virtually, you can see there's quite a few similarities there. But the interesting thing when I look at these two, and for my what I've been taught about these, is that at the time they said that that these, out of all of the emotions, these will be like poison to the soul. And this is really what it's talking about, these manifestations. And if you think how it affects your general well-being, with overthinking, worry, or anger, if you imagine what that will do. When I cycle through London when I'm going to and from college, I can feel that slight bit of rage, and I didn't really understand road rage until I was cycling through London. But I really do notice it. The energy there is so hectic and chaotic. It's very, very different to living here, and I really, really feel that build up. The only way to let it go is just to get myself back into the present, and this goes also for Shinpai Sunar as well, for worry not. So the best way to do this is to be grateful. So the third Reiki principle is kanshashite, which is such a lovely thing to say, and just by saying that, it does help. So if you're ever worrying or being angry, you can never be grateful and angry at the same time, because you think, what am I angry about if I'm grateful? It's like if I'm trying to get to the train on time, which is the thing, and finding that there's like 3-4 buses in front all in a row. What do? I'm okay, I'm safe. You know, I bring my breath back into the equation. I'm aware of my breath. Take a few conscious breaths and say kanshashite, kanshashite, kanshashite. And it brings myself back to the present. And that is the reason why it is there. Gratitude has such many, many effects, not just in that respect, if you think of the laws of attraction, because it brings much, much more back, but specifically for Reiki, it's there to bring you back to the present, to then dissolve that feeling of anger, that feeling of worry. And it's really important. So whenever you get those feelings, just say to yourself, kanshashite, and then bring yourself back. A few deep breaths. And breathe from down here, not from up here. From up here is where, it is one of the reasons why you get the feeling of oppression in the chest. It's because you end up breathing from up here. And all your energy is up here if you're breathing from up here. But if you're breathing from down here, your chi goes back down to your centre. In Japanese, it's tanden, or in China, it's dantien or tantien, depending on who you talk to. But it's 3 fingers width below the centre of your navel, which is that spot, which is, incidentally is also Ren 6, which is an area of the dantien. The dantien is in fact an energy field. It's more than one point. I won't explain where those are today, but that's all you need to know. So just think about that. So it's really, really important for us to be the best we can So how can we be the best we can? We work hard and we are dutiful. So gyo o hagame. I've heard it as gyo o hagame, but it's gyo o hagame as far as I am aware. So work hard. It can be on a karmic level. I see it very much as being the best representation of yourself that you can be. And that's not being harsh on yourself. If you're doing that, then that is wrong. So do it in an aware way. Because if you are harsh on yourself, you'll be harsh on other people. And it will have a pathological effect on you and your relationship around you, with everything else around you. So I would try to be the best husband that I can. I try to be the best friend, the best person that I can, the best practitioner. For each moment that it comes, there's an old Zen story or analogy that I know of. It sounds quite harsh in some respects, and it's about some horses and the person riding the horse. And so the first is the worst horse. You have to, and I did say it's harsh, you have to whip it quite hard for it to do what it's told. And the feeling goes right to the marrow, and then it goes the right speed, etc. I know it does sound harsh. And the next is slightly better, and it does what it's meant to do just before it has that feeling as the whip hits. And the other one, the best one, does it and doesn't need the whip. And that's what we kind of aim for, is to have that sense of consciousness before it hits the marrow. So it's known as marrow consciousness, something that goes right deep to our bones. So we have to live it and breathe it and be the best that we can. And this is what we have to do as practitioners, therapists and teachers, and work the best we can, do it the best time. I've had people wanting me to teach them while I'm not at college, and I need to take some time out because I've been quite stressed. So I've had this liver chi rise, and I've had to say kanchashite to myself many times and try and do all the best things I can. But right now, I need to allow that calmness to come back in. Otherwise, I won't be in the right state to be able to teach, and I won't be able to do the best I can for my students. So we have to take all those things into consideration, because we need to be a good representation of the people, whether it's a client or a student, for them to aspire to help them see what they can do. So we need to allow that time. We need to be aware of where we are so we can do our best. So it's really important for us to be dutiful in every way, in every respect, and take this in every way. And the last one, the fifth Reiki principle, is also superb. And this is what you do for your clients, patients, or whatever, and for your students as well. And that is Hito ni shinsetsu ni, or shito ni shinsetsu ni. I think it's like shito ni shinsetsu ni. I think it depends on which region you are in, will depend on the pronunciation. But for me, I just say Hito ni shinsetsu ni because it's easier to say. So this means to be kind to other humans. Hito, which is written like this, is a person. It means humans. Other people have added be kind to others, be kind to humans and animals. That's all great, and I think that's something we need to do. But essentially it means humans. And what it means, and it's referring to, is giving Reiki or attunements. Now, if you think of it like this, what I've learned is that when you're giving someone an attunement, which means spirit give, reiju, you are bringing themselves back to an aspect, their true self. You are giving them that connection back with the energy of the universe, the chi of the universe, the spirit of the universe, reiki, spirit or soul, chi or energy. So it's really important. And what happens with that is that it's not just when you do that, it is the same as when you give someone a treatment. It is a healing process. And they go through similar healing processes of change within physical, mental, spiritual, to help them rebalance, help them come back to their true self. So it has the same aspect as the first four, because that's what we do for ourselves, but you also need to do that for others. So by connecting them back on a non-dualistic state, so when you put your hands on someone, whether it's for healing or for the reiki, which is also healing, you are non-dualistic. There is no me and you, there is just one. And you need to do this also in a meditative state. This is how I do it. Keep myself completely neutral. There is an aspect of thoughts. What am I feeling on my hands? Oh, I can see that, yes. I can see energy there. Maybe I need to look at that. So there's always thought that's coming through, but it's trying to keep as non-dualistic as possible. Just self, true self. What I normally do is I go back to the same. I look at the Gushu meditation. When I teach, I talk about the Gushu meditation. So go back to that. Anything comes, just allow it to come. There's nothing wrong with thoughts. That's what our brains do. And then just bring your focus back, where your hands are, where your breath is, how you're standing. Make sure you're standing well. Allow the energy to flow. Keep your hands like this. It's really important. So I'm not here to teach today. I'm not here to teach how to run through and repeat the 5 Reiki principles. It's really for what they do. Leave me your comments if you have watched this and there's anything that's inspired you or anything you want to add, because it is a vast subject and there's much, much more to what I have said. I've read so many different versions of what they mean, and I've been taught a few variations as well. And you have to an extent, work out what it means for you, but also keep it simple. If anything gets too complicated, then you need to kind of readdress it and go back to the basics, which I have included in today's video, which is almost 30 minutes, which is crazy. But just take your time and just think about those every day. Also, one thing I'll add right at the end is that even by having it written and putting it in the room, it changes the energy. I actually do have it written out. I painted one. You'll see it on one of the very, very first Reiki clips. You'll see an image of it, but it's not here. It's where I work, and it does have a really, really good effect. Okay, thank you for watching, and yes, take care. Bye.